Hi, welcome to our 90-minute FIFA Cup match versus Real Turgid away. I think just one of those matches that we're the underdogs in, probably, but hopefully we're in with a chance to get a result. We'll just try and do that. Now Myers, we decided to give him a start, and he had a 10 out of 10 man of the match performance in his only start, so I guess he stays. And I think our substitutes bench is decent, so we'll go with it, and it's a cup match. So I think, even though, I think probably Ruivo should just be starting regardless now, but he should definitely start for the cup matches because he's got the higher endurance in case they go to extra time. So I think we just go on with this and we'll see what happens. They got a very attacking formation, I have to say. This is a bit of a throwback to past months where lots of goals were being scored, and these formations could just simply outscore people. Didn't matter how many goals they conceded, you could always score more. Don't know if that is the case anymore, but obviously he's finding success with it. So, but hopefully not success today. Oh. So we're actually getting the run of the play, and we're happy with that. Actually Panted should probably be the penalty taker, I just realised. I have to remember to change that outside of the match. Actual tactic. And we're not getting the run of the play anymore, but I think we're still sort of okay. I mean, it just feels like too risky to change anything, basically. Doing about as well as we could have hoped to have done. This is the thing. Of course, that all changes if they score, and we have to take risks, but I think as long as that doesn't happen, then I don't really see the need for us to want to take risks here. And we're sort of back in now. Like, the play is back swinging to ours. I think it's just a balanced match. If anything, it's we're having the run of the play overall, and that is big. That changes it for us to be the favourites in the match now, basically. And if it was a league match, we would be up in the tempo right now. But because it's a cup match, and a draw is okay, basically, we can still have extra time to leverage our advantage, basically, as well. So it's not as necessary, I don't think, to take the match to them. But if it was a league match, as soon as that red card, we would have hit pause, we would be taken to the match to them straight away. because we just wouldn't want, from this point, we just really wouldn't be happy with the draw if it was a league match. We would definitely want to try and get the win. But like, it's a cup match, there's no hurry, we can just take our time, hopefully outplay them, hopefully get a goal, like we just did, and sort of just play it out regularly, really. It's all the risks need to be taken by them at this point. They're the team with a man down, they're the team with the substitution resource down, they're the team with a player on the pitch resource down, they're the team that's losing by every measure that matters. Goals, the main one obviously, but also the broad statistical data that helps you fit into decisions, but also resources wise, they're just losing. They're losing by scoreline resource, they're losing by number of players on the pitch resource, they're losing by number of available substitutes on the bench that they can choose to bring on resource, they're losing by number of available players that they can bring on. So basically the pool of players they can select from, they have less, they only have 6 instead of we have 7, and they can also only bring on 2 of them and we can bring on 3. So basically when it comes to resource management, they're just losing and losing and losing, and at this point really we're just firmly in control of this match. It's completely our match to lose, and I think it's just really, even if they make some great decisions, even if they get lucky, even if they score a goal, we're still in a really strong position. And now that's turned into 2 goals, our position has become so much stronger, and again we just basically sit back at this point and it's just theirs to lose. And it's so much so that possibly we could even consider ways that we might lose this match, and I think one of them is that we just get a player sent off. I honestly think as long as we keep the 11 players on the pitch, even if they get lucky and score 2 goals and take it to extra time, we'd probably still win anyway. So actually let's just take that down even further, because basically I'm pretty sure at this point it is just the case, without getting overconfident, but the most likely way that we lose this match is by having a player sent off, pretty much, because then they could score 2 goals. Then if it goes to extra time, we don't have the advantage, right? So at the moment, even if they score the 2 goals, it really is we still have the upper hand. But let's just stop waffling a bit, because they are coming into the match now, so it doesn't mean that we can't do anything to help our cause here. I think we can bring on a fresh player at the very least. I think it's time for that. So let's just bring on a fresh like for like. So I'm just going to pause again because I don't like the fact that they're coming into the match. So it has materially changed things a bit. I think we can slow the tempo down and just up the aggressiveness back again a little bit. And well, they're already playing with a fast tempo, so I think we can show our hand and commit to slow, because it's not going to impact their decision making, and they'll just still stay with a faster tempo. And I think that I think at some point we can start thinking about not needing to. I think we're very close to being able to think, let's not back off quite so much. I think we're pretty much at that stage where we can think about not needing, just trying to close out the match in regular time now. I think it is that point, so if it happens to go to the extra time, and I think at this point we can also put the aggressive tackling back, because we are basically saying we're committing now to trying to win in regular time. That's basically what we're doing, and if we happen to get a player sent off, then so be it. They should hopefully still not score 3 goals, and we're going to start pressing them down as well. And we don't probably want to use all 3 of our substitutes up just because we don't want an injury to equal a red card. But I think at this point we still need to make one final change just to close this match out, because we've got one sub, so we should do something with it. And I think we can just bring on a holding midfielder. I think this is okay, and I really think we can just look to just close it out. I wouldn't want to say, I'm not presumptuous enough to still assume we're going to win at this point. We should, but at the end of the day, they've had 15 shots. They could still have 3 more, and if you can have 3 shots, you can score 3 goals. So we'll just wait a little bit to type it in. Again, unlucky a little bit game changing, which it was. We got no illusions about that. It's a massive piece of luck. I mean, it's a lot better from our perspective anyway, if you're talking about winning the match, for them to get a red card in the 24th minute than for us to score a goal in the 24th minute. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not even close to 2 o'clock. So it's just a game-changing thing. I mean, the thing is with goals, they're worth a goal, obviously, and depending on different matches and different factors and different scorelines and things, goals have, you know, a different amount of value. And the same is with red cards, really. The earlier in a match they happen, the more profound the impact is, because the longer amount of time that still needs to be played. And so basically a red card in the 24th minute is pretty game-changing, basically, as opposed to one that might be, say, in the 84th minute, which would still be an event and it would still be unfortunate, but it's just not anywhere near the same, because it's only impacting the match, you know, for the 4 minutes of injury time plus 6 minutes of regular time. So in that case, it would only have an impact on the match for 10 minutes, whereas in this case, it's basically had an impact on the match for, 21, 22, 23, 72 minutes, is that right? Something like that. So it's had an impact on the match for 72 minutes. It's had a huge impact. And then, like we were saying all along, we didn't even care if we went to extra time, because again, it would just, rather than that being 78 minutes or whatever, it would have ended up being 78 minutes plus another 30 something minutes. So at the end of the day, it was just an advantage that we knew we could carry through. And again, this ties into why we went decided to go more cautious. But then as we got further to the end of the match, we got more aggressive again, because at the end of the day, like we were saying, if we get a player sent off near the end, it's nowhere near as impactful as if a player gets sent off earlier in the match. Whereas obviously goals, they impact, but at the end of the day, a goal scored at the start is worth just as much as a goal scored at the end in any given match. Obviously it can impact the event flow and stuff, and the decisions, and can have an impact that way, scoring a goal at the start versus a goal at the end. i.e. a goal at the start will cause people to make decisions, and those decisions will impact the whole entire rest of the match. A goal at the end doesn't do that, but it also means that you can't make any decisions to react against it. So it works both ways. But in the case of a red card, it works both ways as well, but it also puts you at a material disadvantage for every single minute that's played after it. So I guess we can cover more of this in a tactics video. It's a good topic. But basically, if you look at the situation that he was put in, it was bad, because he the match was quite balanced, and I think at the time we maybe had the upper hand, but it was only a small one. I think it was a very balanced match. It definitely was in the balance. It could have just really gone either way, for sure. And I think even though we had the upper hand, and I think we did, we can rewatch the replay, but I think we was a little bit on top of the match at that point. We were just, it was balanced, but we had the slight upper hand. I think that is fair to say. But it was also the case that our team was losing condition at a slightly faster rate than his team. So it was also the case that, all things being equal, that the pendulum was going to swing, I think, slightly into his favour. All things are never equal though, mind you. But if all things were equal, even though we had a slight upper hand, all I'm really saying is, we had a slight upper hand at the start, but I think it was expected that he would have the slight upper hand at the end, in the same way that we had it at the start. So I think it very much was the case that it was looking like the stage was set for a completely balanced match that could definitely have gone either way, and then the red card happened, basically. So, and for us, it was making sure that we understood how profound that was and didn't take any unnecessary risks, because all the risks were theirs to take, basically. We didn't have to take any risks. Like I was saying, if it was a league match, it would be different. If the more time that passed without us scoring a goal, the more possible it was that he could get something out of the match. But in a cup match, that's just less likely, because he had to last a whole nother, even if he managed to get a draw, he had to last like a whole nother 30 plus minutes after that, with being fortunate. So that's why we didn't up the tempo, like we said. If it was a league match, we would have. And then basically we scored. We just left it, didn't take any risks, and then we scored. And that put us in a super comfortable position, because if more and more time had passed without us scoring, like I said, because it's a cup match, we'd still be pretty comfortable compared to a league match, but ultimately the goal really consolidates our position there. And then had to make this up. So then he's even more resources down, and then he's made another sub at half time, and there's even more resources down, and then we score right at the start of the second half. And then from that point, he's used up his third substitute, and from that point, really, he's sort of all out of resort. He's literally got no... I mean, if you look at this, the match state from whatever minute that is, 48th minute. So 48 minutes into the match, he's 2 goals down. He's got no available substitution resources, because he's used all 3 subs, so he's got no more substitution. So, and then by very definition of that, even though he's technically got 4 substitutes available on the bench, he's got none, because he can't actually bring any of them on. So he's got no available substitution resources and no available substitute resources, and he's only got 10 players on the pitch resource, so he's 1 down there, and then he's got a scoreline that's -2. So he's just, from a resource management perspective, we're just dominating. We're completely, I mean, from this point where this third sub is, to say that we're in a comfortable position is a gross, is grossly understated, basically. It's a gross understatement. We are so ridiculously comfortable at that point, it isn't funny, because at that point, he gets a player injured, then he's down to 9 men. If he gets a knock, he can't do anything about it. If he gets a player with a yellow card, he can't do anything about it, they might then get sent off. So, at the end of the day, and I think realistically, the best that he could hope for really at that point was to sort of get, it's not being critical, at the end of the day, when you're in this position, you have to take the risks to give yourself any chance. That's what it comes down to. So he's taken the risks, there's nothing wrong with that, to give himself a chance. I'm just saying, even if he gets lucky and scores these next 2 goals instead of us, it still has to go to extra time. He's still in the situation where if he gets a player injured, he's down an extra man. And he's still in the situation where he's got to play all of that extra time, a man down. Not to mention, I think it was his striker and his designated penalty taker. That was the player that was sent off. So even if he scores the 2 goals, even if it goes to extra time, even if it goes to penalties, he's still missing his best penalty taker. So it's just such a really unfortunate thing. And for us, the most important thing really was for us to identify how profoundly impactful that was, and how much of an advantage, how much that put us in a position of strength, which I think we did that, and quite frankly, we did that, but we didn't do that to the extent that I'm realising it was now. It was even more profound, because, for example, at the time, I definitely saw the fact that it said that it was his designated penalty taker and he's taken on the penalty taker, but I didn't actually even link the chain together at that point to realise that that's another advantage for us, that even if it goes to extra time, even if it goes to penalties, that's an extra advantage on top of all these other advantages for us, so that even if it ends up going to penalties, it's still not the end of the world for us, because we still have an advantage for that situation as well, which I didn't actually pick up on the time. So that was a mistake to not realise that, because it was a pretty obvious thing to pick up on, and we didn't pick up on it until now. So, but in saying that, I definitely did realise that this was profound. This was massively impactful. This definitely immediately put a balanced game, changing it to a state where it was just ours to lose, basically. And I knew that. And it was very important for us to recognise that, so we didn't take any unnecessary risks, which we didn't. And we won very, very comfortably, I have to say. Like, we never, from the point where this red card happened, we just never looked like losing. It always only ever looked like going one way. It was up to them to take the risks, which they did, and it was up to us to react if some of those risks paid any dividends for them. But basically, they took the risks, none of them really paid off for them, so we didn't really even have to react. And really, the decisions that we made were very much just mitigation. Just mitigation against reducing the possibility that he could score a goal and making sure that we still had one sub up our sleeve just in case. So, yep, very easy win, but also massively impactful event that led to it being easy. And all the indications were up until that point that the match could have just gone either way. It was seemingly going to be a very tight, balanced match. So, obviously, very unlucky for them. It's an awful position to be in, and very hard, really. So, and we've been in that position before, and yeah, I guess the main thing is just to fight to try to get something out of the game when that happens to you, and when it happens to your opponent, just make sure that you win, basically. So, right. So in the never-ending competition, we are into the next round, round 6, and really it feels like we have won so many matches in this cup and had so many sort of, fortunate results, I guess you could say. I mean, degrees of fortune in various results, and still, it's like halfway, not even halfway really, because I think we might have got a bye in the first round even. Oh no, we didn't. I don't think we got a bye in the first round actually. I think we played the first round. Yeah, we played in the first round, so we didn't. So we're literally halfway, but we're through the half where we're playing against, we're through 5 rounds. So we're through the half where we played against basically the teams that didn't win their first 5 rounds, and now we're in the next half, which is only against teams that have won 5 matches in a row, basically. So to say that we're halfway through isn't really true, even though we played half the volume of matches. I think it's more like it just feels like the never-ending story of this cup. It's so hard to win, and yeah, we're a million miles away from winning it. I think we got more chance of winning our own FA Cup before it even starts, basically, before we even play a match. There were far more chance of winning our FA Cup or Community Trophy before they even start, before we even played a match, than what we have of winning this from this stage. Like far, far, far more chance. This is still a long way. It's 5 rounds. It's 5 rounds basically, and every single round is going to be against. It's just going to be a really difficult match. So it's going to be super hard. But we'll see. Got to be in it to win it. That's what they say. So cheers. Thanks for watching. Catch you for the next match.